Welcome to my channel, Purposeful Play, where I talk about all things early childhood education. I'm Danielle, and I am a former 4K teacher. I'm still having a hard time saying that. A former 4K teacher in Wisconsin. And today I'm coming to you from my basement because I didn't want to carry my table all the way up the stairs. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about my chalk table and some ideas that might be helpful for you in creating some fun learning games for your children. So let's get started. Okay, so first I should tell you what I have going on here. I've got my table, which is just a $10 coffee table I bought from someone on Facebook, buy and sell. It was $10. I painted the legs, and then I also painted the top with a black chalkboard paint. And I've got my nasty magic eraser, and that's how what I use to erase the numbers and letters and whatever I draw on here. And I use chalkboard markers because the kids can't erase these once I've already written on here. I mean, if they scrubbed pretty hard, they could, but when I use the magic eraser to erase them, then it comes off with the magic eraser. So that's why I really like the chalkboard markers. I have these bigger ones. I feel like I got these ones from Amazon. If I can find them, I'll link them below. And then these actually little ones, I bought these at the Dollar Tree, and they're actually pretty darn good. I have a feeling they came as singles. I think so, but these ones are nice and bright, and I just really like the colors of those ones. So on the table, I have one that was still on here from the end of last year. I'm going to see if I can kind of tip this up as I'm talking to you, and I change these things out. You can see that it needs another good coat of paint, but there's games on here that you can kind of still see from last year. So the magic eraser just couldn't quite erase. So this was just a simple one that was on here from the end of last year. There's a start, there's a finish, and it's just one of those like follow the path. I think I probably had one or two dice out on here, and little critters or something to move along here. So that one was a super simple one that I had still on here. So now I'm gonna erase it, and I'll show you a new one. And I apologize for the lighting in here, but I just can't really get, if I go further back, it's too dark back there. So that's why I'm kind of sticking to my window here. So let me erase this, and I'll show you another one. That was kind of hard work to get all that erased, but I got it done. It's not like super clean, but you'll be able to see. One thing that I'm not going to draw on here, but because it's easy to explain, is that just putting a game of tic-tac-toe on here and having some loose parts, and the kids can play two together, a game of tic-tac-toe. And then a couple of other ones I'm not going to actually show you what it looks like, but I just did a line, drew a line here, and I put the word insects with a circle around it, I think, or like an oval around it, and then I put insect and not an insect, and then kind of put like a circle or an oval with kind of a line through it. And then I just had some little plastic insects on the table, and they were sorting if it was an insect or not an insect. And I tried to write the words on both sides so that if one child's sitting over here, they're not looking at the words upside down. I mean, that doesn't always happen that way, but I try to do it that way. Okay, another one I've done is I just drew a whole ton of circles all over here. Maybe I can show you two different games at the same time. And I'm not picky with how I draw them. It's like circle, circle, circle. And then I wrote numbers in here. So let's say I wrote the number, I'm gonna see if I can draw it so you guys can see it the way that you're looking at it. So I drew the number 7. So you can see that I've got my circle here. Can you see it? Oh gosh, that table is so dirty. And then I would put objects on the table, and they would look at this, and then they would just put 7 items in here. I actually have used those, I don't even know what they're called. They're like stacking counters maybe. If I can find a picture of them, I'll put them on the screen here, but they were making little towers. tall. So I was putting higher numbers, like higher than 10 on here, and they're making these really tall towers. And then of course, because they're colored, they were making patterned towers on here as well with those little stacking counters. So that was like a super easy one to put together. Another one that I've done with these circles is, instead of doing numbers in them, I've written a letter, whether it's uppercase or lowercase. So let's just say I wrote the letter C in this one. And of course, you know, sometimes I have to add like a little bit of flair to it, so I write it, and then I might, you know, put some lines around it. This actually, oh, there we go. Sometimes it takes a bit to get your markers going, but you know, sometimes I like to make it a little bit fancier. But if you're short on time, you just want to get it done, then you just get it done. So like here would be C. And then I had, you know, a bunch of letters on here. If you want to make them small, you can even do the entire alphabet. And then I had a bunch of objects, and they sorted it by same sound. So they're doing the same sound sort. So they would find all the things that began with the letter C or the sound k, and they put it on here. So another way to change it up just by using those circles. So another game I did, I love the ones where they have like follow the trail, like start to finish. And this is how I do it. I draw one line. Can you guys even see that with my sun shining in here? I sure hope so. And then I just go like a little bit over from that, like maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And then I just follow it along. I'm not picky with if they stay evenly apart. And if I get to the end, I'm like, yeah, I want that one to be a little bit longer, and then I just keep going. So I kind of draw my path that way. And then I just go along and go put lines in between each of them. I'm not going to do all of them because then it also means I have to erase them all. But this is how I would make my my path. And then one game I absolutely love. We're doing a study on reduce, reuse, recycle. And at the Dollar Tree, I wish I had pulled them out because they're somewhere in my storage stuff. But it's not that I couldn't find them. It's just that I didn't want to take the time to dig through all my plastic bins that are in there right now. But it was from the Dollar Tree, and it was this little like little monster face. And he had a big wide open mouth. I think it wasn't a sticker. I think it was just a cardboard thing. And it came with all these pictures that were images of things that you could recycle, things that you could throw away that were trash. And so I cut them out and laminated them. I cut the guy's mouth out and put it on like a box that I had, an empty box, and cut the hole that was right around his mouth. And so then when they played this game, if they landed on the recycle symbol, because we were talking about the word symbol, I'm doing a terrible job drawing the recycle symbol, but if they landed on the recycle symbol, then they had to pick up one of the cards and they had to decide, was it trash? Did it go in the trash, which we put it in the guy's little mouth, or would it go in, could it be recycled? And then we actually had little green garbage can, little plastic garbage can that came with a recycling truck, and so they put it in the recycle truck. So that was a game that I did. That was really, I really liked that one. That one, I think we did dice with that one. And then the kids used recycled materials, and they made their little people that would move around the game. And we actually had this one out for our STEM night when we had families come. So it was kind of like an end of the study celebration. Families could play this game with their children, and so the children were teaching them about, you know, what is trash and what we can recycle, and it was even showing them how we could reuse items while they're playing this game. So that one was a lot of fun. So you do have to be creative and maybe like sort of changing it to meet and go along with whatever you are studying, kind of making it have that little bit of extra purpose. So I'm gonna erase and I'll show you another one. Do you remember those games? I don't know if it was called Crocono or something like that, where you flick a little, I don't know if you call it a disc or something, you flick something and you try to land it in a certain spot. That's a fun one too. So drawing little circles or squares or shapes that the kids can either flick something or gently toss it, I guess. I like the flicking better because it's a little bit more of that really fine motor, and then they try to get it into the number that they want, and then also if they get into number 1 or number 2 or number 3, then they can start keeping track of their scores, whether you're teaching them to do tally marks and then counting them up at the end of the game. So, but that's a great one for, you know, that fine motor, and also keeping track of your score, so that counting. I'm gonna draw a very short one of those follow the maze kind of thing, because it's actually kind of hard. It's a lot to keep erasing and drying it and stuff like that. So I've also done one of these. I guess these are, you can tell, like these like follow the maze or follow the trail ones are my favorites. But I've done one where I picked 2 letters. You know those bananagrams are kind of like Scrabble, but they're little letters. And I pulled out a bunch of the letters, and I only did B and D. And so on each of the squares here, I put like a B and then a D, and maybe another D, a B, and I just was kind of like random those letters. You could also do more than those 2, but those were the 2 that I was doing. It's upside down for you guys, but you can kind of see what I did here. And then I had a little basket with the bananagrams, or you could even, whatever kind of letter manipulatives you have. And when the children pick one out and it's a B, they go to the next, that next letter. Or if it's a D, then they can move along the path until they get to the end. So it doesn't have to be letters, it could be numbers, it could be shapes, it could be anything like colors, it doesn't really matter. But when I have done this one, I just did letters. So I don't always just use this as the top to make a game. It's a great little space for just 2 people to play with something together. If you have a smaller dollhouse, you can put it on this table. It's a really good height for that. I've played games where they have to build something together, like when you're doing a gardening study or plants or something like that. We had a flower pot with black beans in it, and they can roll a dice or flip over a card, and that's how many stems of flowers they can put in there until they make this big giant pot. So it doesn't have to be using the top of it. You can use it for really anything you want. I love a low table. And if you don't have any ideas to come up with to add to your table, then you give the kids the markers and have them create their own game. And I'm gonna put a picture, you can see it right now, so you can see one that the kids made. This was this past year, and I don't even remember what the game was about. I think we were in doing a tree study, and there were some animals there, and there was a whole path to follow. I don't even remember if there were dice or a spinner or something, but these 2 girls had created this game and invited friends to come over to play it with them. So they had plastic animals and, you know, the dice or the spinner, and there was a path to follow in some crazy kind of way. But it was just really fun to see them create a game that they taught to other friends. Well, I think that's all I can think of for right now. Sometimes I just grab a marker and I just start making, and in the moment I think of it, but you know, right now when I actually have to come up with all the ideas that I've done, I kind of forget. So I guess, yeah, just be creative in the materials that you have, and what your children are interested in, and what kind of objective or skill or whatever you're working on. So that's it. I want to know if you guys are going to make your own chalkboard table. I should mention too that the idea was not my idea. It was Deborah Stewart. She has a blog or a website called teachpreschool.org. She's also on Instagram, although I'm not sure if they post very much anymore. And Facebook, they have a Facebook group. So, but she has some amazing ideas, and this was one of hers, and I really like it. Let me know if you have any other ideas that you can think of that can be used on the chalkboard table. thanks for watching and have a happy day.